ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Football University, FFU, coming at
FFU.
you in week 15 of the regular season, week 15 of the fantasy football season, week 15 of all of your hearts and minds, fantasy football playoffs. I'm Mr. Bill DeCousos. I'm here with Mr. Tom Lang. Mr. Lang, you ready for the playoffs, sir?
I'm ready for the playoffs, and I thought I was ready for a lot of playoffs, but apparently in one league, one of my league managers decided to change the rules without anybody knowing. And unfortunately, usually, I mean, Billy, you can clarify this as well too, but in leagues, you don't change rules without informing the league, first off. Second off, points should decipher a tiebreaker, full season points. Unfortunately, that doesn't classify in this league. And because of buys and bad matchups and whatever it is, I am not in the playoff when I was guaranteed a spot in one league. So I'm in 4 out of 6 playoffs. I should have been in 5 out of 6, but it is what it is. We move on and we learn from those mistakes and we decide if we're going to be in those leagues again the following year.
We were kind of talking off air about this. It's been an evolution over the years, but I think you and I have both moved to. I think we kind of like leagues that they do the double win thing where you get the win for the win and then you get
Mhm.
one for being above median. I think I've grown to like that because it's the best of both worlds when it comes to um, managing if teams have a bad week in terms of like they get the second highest amount of points and they're matched up against the first amount of points. I've moved to being like that would be my favorite kind of way to mitigate that. Never heard of head-to-head record being a thing, really. Like that's got to be the rarest thing that I've ever heard of in terms of being a primary factor of
When
seeding in terms of the
when you have
playoffs.
5 guys finishing at 7-7 and you're 300 points ahead of and you don't make the playoffs in that five gap right there, that's a problem.
It is a problem.
You know,
Um,
and I just, for all you league managers that do listen to this and you agree or disagree, whatever the fact is, you got to remember, yes, this is a game, this is fun. We enjoy doing this. We bring this content to you guys to help you guys to win your leagues, right? But there is money invested in these leagues.
some of them anyway. Yeah.
Some majority of them, and when money is invested, you cannot dictatorship into controlling a league, especially if there's flaws and people are voicing their opinion on it. You can't dictatorship. You have to understand that because I manage multiple leagues. We manage multiple leagues, and we have to make sure that our people that are in the league enjoy playing. And if you're not enjoying playing, you're going to have to find people. And most likely, you're not going to find the good people that want to be in there because the people that are voicing their opinion are the people that want to actually play and make the league better and play for a number of years. So, league managers, remember, this is also a money-based thing too. Don't mess around with people's money.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, we're probably really good guinea pigs for the rest of the fantasy community here. I mean, we're heading into week 15 now, and there's going to be a lot of salt for for a lot of people who missed playoffs for various amount of reasons. I'm sure everybody who had players that didn't perform, it wasn't their fault, it was the player's fault, and for everybody who did perform, it was their amazing foresight, and it wasn't the players having a good game. So good, bad, ugly. There's a lot of salt all around, and for people who made the playoffs, they're gearing up here. They're getting ready to go.
I will, and sorry, not to cut you off one
Yeah,
more
sure.
time, but this is one more thing that I want to throw out there.
Get it out.
This is for the NFL, all right?
This
NFL.
is therapy session. Yes.
NFL, Roger Goodell, when you guys do the schedule next year, think about fantasy football and the playoffs and the last week of fantasy football season. It should be a full roster situation. Have the bye weeks finish before Thanksgiving. There's no reason for a team to be on bye week 14, 13, whatever it is. They don't need it. They need middle of the season. Let's have bye Mageddon back to back to back weeks and just call it. Let's just move on like that.
It
Roger
probably you're
Goodell,
probably going to get you're probably going to get what you want because eventually they're going to move to 18 games in which it will get pushed back anyway, and then they might even go to 2 bye weeks in which they won't necessarily need that. So you
you
might
know,
get what you want one way or another. Yeah. So we'll
before we move into the greatest show of the world, of the waiver show, week 15 of playoffs, How about them Chiefs? Let's move on.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, let's just. By the way, I didn't want to tell you. Sometime during the off season, I want to have one episode where we cover controversial topics.
Oh yeah,
So
100%. We did it in this previous offseason
uh,
when we had a guest on the show.
I know, but I want to have like an entire episode where we do that. We could throw in we'd have like an episode just on the Chiefs, Shador Sanders, and maybe like another thing. We'll get
Well,
to.
let's do that. And honestly, we'll put it out there. Those of you that do watch our content, if you guys want to be partaking in that show,
Yeah.
in that sh we have no problem bringing on people. Just, keep it clean and, keep it to a minimum. But we will, we would love to like have people that watch our show interject with us, give us your opinion, and we may disagree with it or agree with it, and it'll be a fun way to bring our viewers into the show sometimes.
Well, I just bring that up to mention just because on the topic of the Chiefs before we get into this to the waivers here, like it's I don't want to hear any more about the Chiefs and the refs ever again because this is what it is. There is no helping them. It is what it is. They are only as good as the team is, and their team is just not that good. It's Patrick Mahomes trying to make it work with it's Rashee Rice or bust. There's nothing else.
I mean,
Kelsey's not that good anymore. The rest of the team is not that good. And even like I don't even know if I agree or disagree with Andy Reid's some of the decisions he made. Just the team is not good enough to overcome all that
I,
stuff.
I think their defense is fantastic. First off, their defense is very good.
Pretty good.
Um,
Pretty
their
good.
defense it's top eight, I'd say right now. The problem is, I think that in the sports world right now, universally, there with the sports betting element, there's a lot of things that are being basically a fine eye on right now. And I'm not gonna say the Chiefs have been.
This is ridiculous.
I know, and this is what I'm
I,
gonna say.
I'm
This
not
is this.
tolerating this.
Okay, you don't have to tolerate it. We could tolerate this content in one full show that can bring it all together, and we could just battle it out.
Well,
But we're not here for that
no,
today.
we'll get to that in the offseason.
We are here for what, Billy?
We're here for week 15 waivers. Week
Let's
15
get it.
waivers. And by the way, just before we jump right in, I thought it'd be prudent just to mention therefore our own leagues just real quick. So Tommy made it to the playoffs in 4 out of 6 of his leagues. I made it to the playoffs in 3 out of 4, and it was very, very close, 4 out of 4. It took Devontae Smith getting a catch in overtime for me to lose and get knocked out of the playoffs in that other league. That's okay. But in the main one that we got, you guys have been following with us, the high stakes league, we managed to close out with 2 wins in the final week
We
for
got the bye.
above median and the win against actually the top team. So we finished in second place for the league. We got the bye, and we'll be raring up for the playoffs. We're very excited about that. So a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about today applies to us too. So we're right in the same boat with you guys. You ready to jump right in?
Let's get it.
Week 15 waivers. Welcome in, welcome in. Okay, so no teams are on bye anymore to Tommy's happiness. There's no late buys. So we got a full slate of games. First week of the fantasy football playoffs. And just a reminder, all of our drop candidates and waiver options will be posted in the description of this episode video on YouTube. So please check us out there as well. Okay, let's go to running backs. The IR drop guys, we say it all the time. We'll keep saying it until people actually drop the guys. Austin Ekeler, James Conner, Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Kendre Miller, Cam Skatebo, and J.K. Dobbins. Other drop candidates. We talked about a couple of these guys last week. I'm sure it's going to be more reiterating. So Rashad White, you don't need to roster him anymore because the backup duties are being handled by both White and Tucker. It's the handcuff value is gone, et cetera, et cetera. It's not worth keeping him on the team anymore. Irving just swallows up everything as the lead back. Again, JCM, this is Tommy's favorite drop candidate for the last 1,000 weeks here.
Since
No
week
need.
one.
It's a week 7 or 7, 8 or so. No need to keep him on the team anymore. It's basically the Rodriguez and McNichols show, and we'll talk about them later. And last on the list is Nick Chubb. we had halfway been identifying him as okay, if you got Marks, it's probably worth keeping Chubb, but I don't think so anymore. So he had the injury situation, and now it's like an amalgamation of other backs going on there. Nick Chubb does not look as good as he did in prior years. It's not worth keeping on the team anymore. If you got Marks, you're gonna have to roll with him, and
Yeah, and Darren Gulbawale is just going to steal some touchdowns.
that's very true. And somebody from the IR is not coming back this season, so
Though he
they
says he still is.
he's out of, but why? Like, don't even get me started.
Playoffs?
I gotta tell you, there's been and we're gonna get to a guy in a minute, but like, there's been a few coaches and a few players that I can't stand this season because of the things that they've said.
All of them? All of them?
Joe Mixon's the top of the list because who are you fooling? Like what? Like just be honest. Like you're getting mad at Ian Rappaport and everything. Don't get me started. Okay.
We can have
So
a show for that in ourselves as well, too.
yes. So let's talk about guys you actually can get. And let's get them out the way because how much we hate talking about them. Arizona. Okay. So let's make sure we get the situation correct now. I was slightly wrong, I think, last week when I said Benson had to be activated before the game
It's
or else he
this
wouldn't
week.
play. It's this week, but it's not even right before the game. It's like Wednesday or Thursday or something, right?
It's before the week. I mean, it's he has to be on the active practice report for at least 2 games, 2 days. I think that's the rule for this on Wednesday this
All
week.
right. Let's assume it's Wednesday or Thursday. This is after most of your waivers are going to run on in your league. So we mentioned that because it depends on if you're going to be interested in adding Bam Knight, if you deep leagues with Michael Carter or Emari Demercado. So
Yeah,
like
but I don't know if you want to play any of those guys this week against Houston.
I don't want to play any of them with Houston, but maybe people are, maybe they got to buy and then they're scared about the running back situation because the final 2 weeks are going to be pretty good for the running back
I mean,
situation.
Atlanta's been playing well
Home
recently.
against Atlanta, they don't play well on the road.
They've been playing pretty good. I mean, their rush defense and also their pass defense is phenomenal. I mean, it's just it's they're completely out of contention. They're not gonna do anything, but their defense has been playing so good.
I so therefore, are you saying just don't roster an Arizona back, move on, and like
I
don't give
think
yourself the
I think
headache? I mean,
I think that this is,
rostering a starting running back is going to be valuable for the like.
I understand that, but I just feel like, week 17 is the only week against Cincinnati where you can play one of those guys. And do you really want to throw one of those guys in the championship and just hold on to them? You can't. You have to have guys on your roster that can fill in for injury because of a situation. And honestly, I'd rather put my money onto Blake Corum based on the volume he's getting the past couple weeks, and them holding on to and potentially savoring um, Kyron Williams for the playoffs. I think Blake Corum could have, again, he has a not the greatest matchups, but it is the Los Angeles Rams. They're going to move the ball.
Well, your
And
your logic, I mean, you just said like Blake Corum, you just mentioned in week 17 is at Atlanta, and you're
I
using added, Atlanta
I
as a
understand. No. I said Blake Corum has not the greatest matchups the next 3 weeks, but they have a really good roster that can move the ball. They're a different team than the Arizona Cardinals. I'd feel more comfortable throwing in a Blake Corum if needed over Benson, Knight, Michael Carter, and Demercado.
I think that's about right. Can I present to you a realistic scenario that might make you think otherwise? Let's assume Trey Benson does not make it back and he's not back for the season and they don't activate him and it's done. So at that point, it's just Bam Knight, Michael Carter, and then eventually Demarcado when he returns. Let's imagine Bam Knight continues to dominate the touches and we like Bam Knight, his talent, etc. And he dominates the touches in Houston. You're telling me you wouldn't be interested in starting a Bam Knight as a flex option if you need it for the final 2 weeks, if you know he's dominating touches with Jacoby Brissett throwing it 10,000 times a game. You know what I
Um,
mean? It's
he
there's value to be had here.
There's value, but I just feel like there are other players that are still on the waiver wire that I would probably play over Bam Knight, to be honest. Yes, he has a high ceiling, right?
Sure.
But he has a low floor based on the scenario of them having to pass the ball so much because they just can't keep up. And going against Houston, bad matchup. Going
Yeah,
against
I don't want
Atlanta,
him playing there.
not great matchup. Going into
Eh,
Cincinnati, fantastic matchup. But again, you gotta play the players to get to where you need to be. And these
that's a fair point.
those guys are not going to get you where you need to be. Now, one of those guys could pop off, but are you really going to roll the dice with one of those guys?
Realistically speaking, if I was in this position, this is what I would do. I would not make any commitment on Arizona until after the Benson situation is clarified. I'm not going to waste a waiver priority. I'm not going to waste any fab on this until it's clarified. And by the way, this is another thing where I was kind of leading into it. It's just I'm annoyed at Gannon. Like Gannon could not be honest the entire season about Trey Benson. So I have no time for that. So therefore, if Benson declares and he's in, then it's a bit more clarity. I guess you go with Benson. But let's say we skip ahead to Thursday or Friday and we find out, okay, Benson's not going to be activated. At that point, maybe I'll put an ad drop claim in for Bam Knight. I'm not going to go Michael Carter. I'm not going to go Emari Demercado. Maybe those are in very, very, very deep leagues. You could take your shot there, but maybe it's worth just seeing. But again, to your point, maybe I wouldn't throw him in as a starter against Houston. I would wait and see how that goes. But it's just maybe you want to have it as a deep league bench spot. By the way, to that point, Tommy, there's a bunch of people, and we'll get to it when we get to the sit rep, that are starting a back that is not worth holding the handcuffs for. So maybe I'd
Yeah.
rather have Bam Knight on my team as
Well,
that. You know what I'm
listen.
saying?
Yeah, this is how I'd put it, right? So if I'm going into the playoff week one of the playoffs, and say if there's no buys or in some of these leagues, and I'm going against a juggernaut that is, and again, we don't talk about projections, but sometimes like when a team is projected by 50 points or something like that, you got to shoot for the stars. That's when I would probably play like a Bam Knight throw, flex them in there because, that because there can be tremendous upside, but the floor is so low. You're shooting for the stars. That's kind of like my approach with that. And you just hope that a great opportunity happens. But again, it's going to be a tough, it's a really tough decision. Um, for example, last week I did start in one league, which I needed to shoot for the stars and get 150 points. I started, whatchamacallit, the tandem of Adonai Mitchell and Tyrod Taylor. And it unfortunately, Tyrod Taylor in the first act of the game injures his groin, right? So you can't call, I don't feel bad about that, starting him, but I took my shot. I was big on Tyrod Taylor during the week. Unfortunately, injuries can't decipher if you made a bad decision or not. You got to have a full game or at least 75% of the game to see if he actually is going to produce. And because of that happening, Adonai Mitchell did nothing because they couldn't do anything on, throwing the ball. It was not successful. So, unfortunately, I lost in that position there. But again, sometimes you got to take those shots, especially in these points when you're playing a juggernaut. Um, you, or you could just basically say, "Hey, these guys got me here. I'm just going to see what happens."
Right. Um, So actionable advice for this, I hope you guys kind of take the way that I would handle this is I'm not making any moves on Arizona. I'm not wasting anything on them until the Benson situation clears. After the Benson situation clears, if Bam Knight is still available, which right now he's 43% on ESPN, 56% in sleeper, fine. Maybe it's worth a tertiary ad just to see what happens.
Yeah.
The other guys, Michael Carter and Demercado, if you believe and you think they could turn into something, and if you have a deep league, fine. We're not going to fault you for taking that shot. If Benson does come back, we'll reassess how we feel about the situation. But honestly, the way it was supposed to be was Benson has the whole backfield, and the other guys are just kind of spelling him a little bit. We'll
I
see if
just
that even
don't know.
happens.
I just don't know if they just throw him to the Wolves and give him 100% of the touches or even 80% of the touches. I just think that they have so many options out there that it may be a 30-30-30.
But if you remember, your logic from a week or two ago was like that would be in their interest. They want to see what they have in him. This is a second year
Yeah, but
player.
again, him
Connor's
coming,
done,
I,
right?
I understand that, but it doesn't mean week one that he comes back, they throw him to the Wolves.
Well, week one would be here at Houston, which we wouldn't start anybody, against Houston anyway. But then, maybe if he get some touches or whatever. I don't know. We're spending way too much time on
Way too
Harris.
much, and we in this entire
He's not even
season
our
we
best.
and this entire season we have spent way too much time on those five targets that are actually put up there is the players that are in there, but the two teams are Washington and Arizona.
I know.
Let's move on from those guys.
Well,
They didn't get us to the point where we are right now.
yeah, let's move on from Arizona. Way too much time on it. So let's talk about Chris Rodriguez here. So 31% in ESPN, 60% in sleeper. So it's a decent enough shot you might as well you might be able to get him. Don't be and he might end up getting dropped too this week because of his bad fantasy production. Don't be fooled by the bad fantasy production. They lost to Minnesota 31-0. He still went 10 for 52 on the ground. That's a great line. Uh you know, McNichols is only spelling him for the pass catching work. JCM is a non-factor now. So I like Chris Rodriguez, and
And
he's got the
that's
Giants this week.
Yeah,
So
and honestly, that is exactly his numbers for the entire season. When he gets 10 plus touches, he gets basically anywhere from 40 plus yards, and he's going to roll in for a touchdown. So, he has four touchdowns on the season. He has four games where he had basically double digit touches. And those double digit touches is basically where the more volume he's going to receive is the more opportunity he's going to get on the ground. And he's not a big run player. He's not going to get your 30 plus yard rush. He's going to get those grinding plays, and he's going to get you anywhere from basically 3 to 4 yards per carry. It's just that's who he is, and he is their goal line guy.
yep. Let's talk about the aforementioned Blake Corum. So we're not going to ignore what happened in the past game.
Can't.
He's not gonna have a game like that every week. But
Well,
go ahead.
well, I need to cut you off there because honestly, if you look at the last two games, he's had 7 touches for 81 yards and a touchdown against Carolina. They were losing in that game, so that was a competitive game. This past game, he had 12 touches, 13 touches for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. They are spelling him inside the 10, just to get those grinding plays at times. Um, but I do think that this is a player, again, it is a really, I won't say the toughest schedule. It is a tough schedule, but it is the Rams. They have a fantastic offense. You have the MVP of Matthew Stafford playing right now, pretty much. Um, I don't feel uncomfortable plugging him in over any of these guys we've already discussed because of that situation. He is getting the touches. They are potentially looking to take a step back on the percentage of touches for Kyron Williams right now, based on how far, basically the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs, and they need a super healthy Kyron Williams for that playoff run. So I think Blake Corum, he's not the Blake Corum of last year, of rookie year. He's been performing a lot better this year. His system, basically, he's kept, he's getting some targets through the air, not significant, but the touches on the ground are very valuable. He's been averaging 10.5 yards per touch each and
But
every
that
single game the
but
past
that's
two
not going to
weeks.
continue though.
It's
Like not,
not going to continue, but you know what? I would roll with the consistency. They got Detroit next week. Detroit has been playing decent, on the ground, but again, it's the system, it's the team. Los Angeles is a good team. And they don't, and Detroit's not going to put 9 men in the box. They're not going to put 10 men, eight men in the box. They're going to have to basically put 5, 6 men in the box, and that's going to open up windows for one-on-one coverage, one-on-one, the pass, what you call it, blocking, which will open up a door for him basically to find his way to get some yards.
yeah, let's reiterate that narrative. So, I take somebody like Sean McVay more at his word than, Gannon, for example. But Sean McVay has been making it clear that they are, quote, trying to save Kyron for the playoffs.
Yep.
I don't know exactly what that means. I think it means something like Kyron has been such a bell cow and getting so much, so many of the snaps and so much of the work that they just kind of want to spell him. It's not that they're saving him. It's they're not going to use whatever systems that are working for them any different that they would in the playoffs that they are in the regular season. So it's to your point, it's a good sign that they're trying to get Corum more involved because they trust him. They like him. He's doing well or whatever.
Yep.
Um, I was going like you can't assume that he's going to get 10 yards a carry and 10,000
No,
touchdowns. But if you want to say that he might be a better value than throw in halfway starter Bam Knight on a thing, fine. I can get behind that.
100%. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I could get behind that narrative.
I'd rather 33 I'd rather 30% snap percentage for Blake Corum over 40% snap percentage on Bam Knight with valuable touches for Blake Corum on a better offense.
I will say for anybody who listens to our podcast and for anybody who like knows anything, the most of the people who already own Blake Corum, he's 22% in ESPN, 50% in Sleeper, should already be the Kyron Williams owners. If you're not, man, you just don't know what you're doing. You have not been paying attention. So
Well, that's
there,
rude.
there's going to be people who are going to have to be making a start sit decision between Kyron and Corum. The answer is you still play Kyron,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, 100%.
And I would say, depending on matchups, maybe throw in Corum if you like. It's getting closer to the old Montgomery Gibbs thing of old. I would say against Detroit, like it depends. We'll talk about the matches when
Well,
we
for
are
those of you that can pick him up in waivers, you're starting Blake Corum.
if you're interested in getting him again, depending on your running back options. And I
Hmm.
actually want to use the Blake Corum thing as a parlay to just mention, there's these couple of guys that are not just handcuffs, that these are these high value handcuffs with standalone value that could very well be more worth it than Bam Knight or Michael Carter that we could throw in there. Guys like Algier, Manungai. Okay, we'll bring them up when we talk about when we sit rep the running back situation. I'd rather have them because they might end up, Algier might end up, vulturing another touchdown. Manungai ends up getting all the touches that he has. That's better than, yo-yo A or yo-yo B that you throw in there. So I agree with your sentiment. You just don't imagine you're going to be getting that performance, the running back one or two of the week every single week. It's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. But the consistency ratio for the past 2 weeks, you can't ignore that.
No, no, absolutely not. You can't ignore what we've been seeing. So let's talk about a couple of guys that are probably owned, but there might be one of them available on your waiver wire. These are guys in these 50-50 scenarios, but we like what we've been seeing on them. Top on that list is Devin Neal. This is a couple weeks in a row now. Devin Neal's 56% in ESPN, 64% in Sleeper, might be there. He had really a nice game, and I think that his role is cemented even if Kamara, comes back. But you think Kamara won't even come back.
Nah,
So
I honestly, even if he does, I just don't see. There's no reason. There's no reason to see what he's still got because I just feel like Kamara. This is his last hurrah. It's been his last hurrah the past 2 years. He's on a really bad team. He didn't want to get moved. I think it's just he's comfortable where he is, and just it is what it is. So, um, I think Devin Neal has been
I
performing.
I think Devin Neal's a league winner here. Like
Yeah,
look at that
and
schedule.
yeah, no, it's a fantastic schedule. We said it last week. Carolina, Jets, Tennessee. You can't go bad with that. If I was tossing between Blake Corum and Devin Neal, it'd be really tough to be honest because Blake Corum's on a better roster, but Devin Neal is getting more production. So if I was to have to choose between those two guys, I'd probably lean Devin Neal based on the volume, but you can't go wrong with either one, to be honest, based on the situation.
Yep.
Um, New Orleans has been playing good. They have been playing better. And who knew that Tyler Shough was going to run it for 2 touchdowns? Like, that's not happening every single week.
No,
Um,
no, but he might very well just be a
but the
competent
problem with
quarterback.
that is, but the problem with that though is if he's a running quarterback that's vulturing opportunities on Devin Neal in the running game there, it does open the field a little bit more for him because it has to the scheme has to be changed slightly from a passing quarterback to a running, to a multi threat quarterback. But again, you can't really ignore the touches and the schedule. It's a fantastic rest of season schedule for
If
Devin Neal.
if Kamara comes back, uh, you know, the upside is a little bit capped there, but I still like him. I mean, but if Kamara doesn't come back, I think he's a league winner. I
Yeah.
think he's going to be super good rest of the season. So we'll
Yep,
we'll pay attention to that.
he is no battery man in Isaac Tesla, unfortunately.
we will pay attention to the Kamara news this week. So next two guys here, these are not sexy names. We got Jordan Mason and Kareem Hunt. They're both between 50 and 70% owned in leagues. They're going to get you touches and they're going to get you value. Jordan Mason, they're at Dallas this week, so there's going to be a lot of points in that game. Take your options as you are. The upside is capped as he splits with Jones and Kareem Hunt. He splits with Pacheco, but he gets the high value touches in the red zone and some of the pass catching. So there should be some points there as the Chiefs cling on to whatever playoff hopes they have for the rest of the season. So I'm not so crazy about that, but I don't know if I'm more or less crazy about them than I am about Devin Singletary, Tommy. I mean, Devin Singletary, he's going to get work. He's off the bye now and he's much more available. I mean,
Yeah, and let's put it this way. So Devin Singletary right now in the past 4 weeks, including the bye, is a RB2. He is a low end RB2. He's basically number 24 in half point PPR. So I feel very good, about him getting the touches that he needs. He's also getting the touchdowns, which is a value. Um, he's averaging 3 touchdowns, per the 3 games. So a touchdown per game. He had 2 in one, and then 1 in one. He didn't have a touchdown in the other, but he got the yards in that other one. So he's been performing to a point like where I'd feel comfortable if needed, to throw him in there. He definitely should be owned, especially with the Tyrone Tracy owner. The problem with that though is now you're deciding who do I play. I'd honestly rather go for the guy that's going to be guaranteed in the red zone. And the Giants they're gonna push. I mean, they're not gonna try to lose. Because if you look through the years, the Giants have always been ones to mess up their draft pick. So they will go out there and win a game that they should not win, which is fine.
I don't know if they should not win this game. They're home against Washington. They are favored. So
It's amazing, but somehow they will like be ahead by 15 to 16 points and then lose the game because Deebo Samuel is going to wake up and start. He's going to put up like 180 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
the good thing is we're on bye with that Deebo Samuel play.
How do you compare like this is the end of the guys that we have as like
Yeah.
pickup options. Like how would you compare Devin Singletary? Like obviously I know you'd prefer Chris Rodriguez and Blake Corum and Devin Neal if he's available off the waiver wire. Like would you prefer Singletary to all the Arizona guys?
100%.
Okay. Okay.
I'd rather go 50% than 30 or less percent.
All right. Let's do the quick sit rep across the league. Thankfully we covered a bunch of the situations. So Arizona, we already talked about. We have to talk about it again.
Yeah,
Atlanta,
let's
we know that
move quick through this.
Bijan and Algiers. Algier, like we said, has his own standalone value. So if he's still on the waiver wire, go ahead. You can take your shot on that. Again, no idea why all the Bijan owners don't have Algier. Whatever. Moving on. Baltimore, Tommy, this is when I was waiting to ask you. So Mitchell went down with an injury. I don't know how serious it is. If Mitchell's fully out, then Ali becomes the handcuff, right?
Yeah, I mean he's been utilized more in the passing game, as well too, and on those third downs, you really haven't seen as much Hill in there.
Because he's
So
been out. He's on IR.
that's why you haven't seen him out there.
Right.
So yeah, Ali is basically gonna vulture those opportunities. For some reason, Derrick Henry is not the 100% guy back there. I just don't understand it. You know, y- John Harbaugh, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just please listen. Just listen. You are ruining your team right now. You should be the head and the lead by far. You just lost the game because you're not utilizing Derrick Henry right. Use this guy. He was the 100% vocal point of the Tennessee Titans for multiple years. Put him in there on third downs. Let him block if needed, but give him the ball. Let him get in open space and run these guys over that are half his size. Let's move on.
Let's move on. So pay attention to the Mitchell stuff. If Mitchell's out, I would make a tertiary ad of Ollie if I'm the Henry owner. If not, just pay attention to that news if you're the Henry owner. I don't know that nobody else cares about that. Buffalo, Cook is the guy. You don't need to roster handcuffs because Johnson and Davis will 50-50 it. Carolina, they're coming off bye now. Now we got the Chuba and Rico situation again. So both are going to be valuable. Both are going to get touches. Both are explosive. Chicago. Swift is the guy. Monunga is the handcuff, but like we said, he has his own standalone value. Monunga is super talented. Monunga is going to be really interesting to talk about in the offseason for the Bears. Cincinnati Browns, the guy. Piron's back to being the handcuff. Cleveland, Judkins is the guy. Sampson's back to being the handcuff. Dallas, Javante's the guy. Davis is back to being the handcuff. Denver, Harvey's the guy. No handcuffs there. They'll, Bidet and Sarah McLaughlin will, 50-50 hit in the backfield. Detroit Gibbs the guy. Montgomery's just a handcuff now. Sorry, guys. It is what it is. Green Bay, Jacobs is the guy. Wilson's the handcuff. Thank God I never have to talk about Marshawn Lloyd anymore. Houston, Marks is the guy, and he's great. He's just so good. They really unlocked him. Like we said, it's not worth rostering any of the other backup guys, Chubb, Daria Gumbawale, and whoever else is there. Indianapolis. We haven't talked about the situation here. So with Daniel Jones's injury, it really caps everybody in
Yeah.
Indianapolis. We'll talk more about that in a bit here.
I saw
Taylor's,
something that I saw. I did see something that Tyler Warren actually might be the quarterback this upcoming week.
we got notifications on our phone that Philip Rivers is getting a workout.
Yeah, but
So
he's getting a call. At 44 years old, he may be coming back. But honestly, I think they won't throw him to the Wolves that week. I think Tyler Warren
not
could
at
go in there
Seattle.
and be a
Yeah.
gadget.
So keep an eye for all the Ty Warren owners. But Taylor's going to still be the guy. It's just not going to be as good. And we've moved to it's not worth rostering any of the backups because Giddens and Goodson will probably 50-50 it.
Yeah,
If you want to, go ahead. I still think it's Giddens, but whatever. You guys, like I'm reporting to you guys the way we're seeing it. Jacksonville, Etienne's the guy and Tootin's the backup. Tootin's a high value backup. He has opportunity. Has and now they got playing the Jets, so I could see Tootin having some value in this game. Kansas City, we talked about the situation, Pacheco and Hunt. The Chargers. So, as the Hampton owner, how did you feel about basically a 50-50 between Hampton and Vidal? They both looked good.
yeah. And I said that that's what's going to happen. But I'll take the 50-50 on Hampton.
Yes.
But moving forward next week, it's gonna
You think it's going to
get
morph back to Hampton being the
it's
main
gonna
guy?
morph back to
Okay.
Hampton.
I think that if that's the case, eventually people will drop Vidal. If you're the Hampton owner, you need to grab him. Okay. Rams, we talked about the situation. Kyron's the man. Corum's the high value handcuff. The Vegas. Gentie's the guy. God bless that awful team. And, no need to roster any of the backups. Miami. Achan's the guy. And so, Tommy, is Gordon still the handcuff? Because Jalen Wright completely usurped all of that work when Achan went
Yes, he
down
is
there.
still the handcuff.
Okay. Okay. You guys make that decision. Jalen Wright, I don't know why they were doing that. Maybe they just wanted to get him work. Minnesota, we briefly talked about the situation. So Jones and Mason are going to 50-50 it. New England, Henderson and Stevenson are going to 50-50 it from a usage perspective. Obviously, Henderson's way more explosive. Um, so I'd rather have Henderson. New Orleans, when Kamara comes back, it'll probably be some version of Neal and Kamara getting 50-50. But like we said, we're excited about Neal going forward. The Giants, Tracy and Singletary are 50-50. The Jets, Brees is the guy on an awful team, and Davis is currently the handcuff. And man, they're just so bad. So hopefully they can do something now with whether it's going to be Fields or Brady, whatever his name is. I don't know.
And
So
unfortunately, I'll be at that game.
so Philadelphia, Barkley's the guy, and Barkley with a nice game finally. This past game, and Bigsby's the handcuff. The Philadelphia better be careful. They're in danger of losing that division now.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
They did lose to the Cowboys did lose to the Lions, but again, the Eagles are getting cute,
Yeah,
too
they
cute.
are. I feel like they had that
And
game. Yeah.
and Hurts is making really, really bad mistakes. And
Uh,
he's never been a bad mistake kind of quarterback. He's been very conservative, but he is not a throwing quarterback, guys. He's not. He
I
gets
don't
his
know.
points from touchdowns.
I don't know about that. I will say that Hertz had a couple of those turnovers that had nothing to do with him. Uh,
Well, let's just put it this way. If he just snap the ball and spike the ball, he would have had a better QBR than what he had
I know.
last
I've
night.
heard those stupid stats.
And not only that, but he is now the first and only player that has two turnovers in one play.
Yep. Look how happy you are.
That's so funny.
Pittsburgh, Warren's the guy, and Gainwell's the handcuff. Seattle, Walker and Charbonnet are going to 50-50 it for the rest of the year just to make everybody happy. San Francisco, McCaffrey's God and Robinson's the handcuff. Tampa Bay, Irving's the guy, and no need to roster White or Tucker. Tennessee. Oh, I was excited to talk to you about this one. So
Hmm.
right after right after we said, and I'm the top on the list where I'm like, you don't need to roster Pollard or Spears anymore. They're so bad, they're not going to do anything. And then magically Pollard has the greatest running back game of all time. He's unbelievable against the Browns defense. I started the Browns everywhere and they killed me. I cannot believe how bad that was. Maybe they just given up. I don't know, but I know that Pollard crushed it. And if you believe that that kind of thing could continue from Pollard, fine. I think
Hmm.
it's a bit of an aberration. I think Tennessee goes back to being like bad, and maybe
Yes.
Pollard and Spears get you your 7 to 10 points each week. They're both going to 50-50. I know, Tommy, are you still at this point partial to Spears?
I'm still partial to Spears.
All right. And Washington, we talked about the situation. I actually just wanted to quick mention. So Rodriguez is going to be the guy, and McNichols is going to get a lot of work spelling him with pass catching. So just keep an eye on that. But at the moment, it's pretty much just roster Rodriguez, and it should be a good game against the Giants. I'll be interested to talk about that in the preview show. All right, let's talk wide receivers. So let's talk the IR drop guys: Malik Nabers, Tyreek Hill, Travis Hunter, Calvin Ridley. Notably off this list is not Mike Evans, who we'll have a quick convo about in a moment. Other drop candidates here. We got a lot of names on this list, Tommy, and all of them. Like it's time to like make your team better. It's time to make moves. It's time to go and win your league. So
Yep.
I like these guys are not helping you right now. So Xavier Worth, we'll kind of be pretty quick about this. Xavier, you tell me if you agree or disagree. Xavier Worthy,
Gone.
Keenan Allen,
It's unfortunate, but he's got to go.
DJ Moore,
I don't know. It was just a bad matchup. I think that he has a bounce back week against Cleveland, so I would not drop him.
two blow up games the entire year, and maybe two other decent games.
And
Every other game has been
potentially,
awful.
yeah, Caleb has not been playing well as he was early on. Um, I think that against Cleveland, he's going to be under a lot of pressure, and they're going to have to get DJ more involved.
The only thing that makes me feel better about it is the Roma Dunze situation. He
That's
likely
why
won't be back, but
that's why I'm saying that as well too. Is you know, Olamide Zacchaeus is the guy? No,
no.
he's just a Fugazi. So DJ Moore is the guy that they paid. They got to get him involved. If not, then he's going to find his way to another roster. He may find his way back to the Panthers.
Did you see Ben Johnson's quote about him?
No,
He was asked like, "Oh, did you realize DJ Moore only had one catch for like negative whatever it was, negative yards?" He goes, his quote was, "Oh, I didn't realize he had one catch." And that was the end. That was like he said nothing else after it. So I don't
yeah, he
know.
wants. DJ Moore is going to find his way onto another roster
Yeah.
next year. He will not be. I mean, and the problem is he's still under contract, so he got paid 2 years ago, I think, for a 4 or 5 year deal.
Okay.
So,
But your ruling is don't drop.
yeah, don't drop him. He just has value still. He's somebody that basically can be a pretty decent flex if needed. Some of these leagues that if they're three wide receiver leagues and you have a flex, he may be your fourth wide receiver you want to play just for a shot.
Okay. Romeo Doubs.
I still think you need to hold on to him. But again, with Jaden Reed coming back, it's
He had a big fat zero, another at
I know
Denver.
I understand that. But again, it's up and down, up and down. Christian Watson, as I told you, Christian Watson is the guy. He's the touchdown guy.
Clearly.
He's the red zone guy. Um, I said you got to go out there and get him, and he's the number 4 wide receiver in the last 4 weeks. So
Okay. But so you're 50-50 on Dobbs?
I'm
I think
50-50, but I'm
uh,
more.
I think
There's
it's a
better
full drop.
options out there that you can plug in potentially instead of having Romeo Doubs.
Okay. Troy Franklin?
Goodbye.
Okay. This one's probably worth a quick convo. Alec Pearson, Josh Downs from
It's
Indianapolis.
unfortunate they got to go.
What if it's
With no
Philip?
with no Daniel Jones, I mean, just
Right.
not knowing what the quarterback situation is, the only value play right now is Jonathan Taylor, and there's going to be 100 men in the box now. So
Yeah. Maybe and Pittman, I mean, his upside is capped too. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate. And that this week they're at Seattle. Yeah, I was looking at the game line. It's not pretty.
no, this might be another Seattle shutout.
It might be. Darnell Mooney,
Pass, move on.
Keon
Why is
Coleman,
he even in there?
because he's 48% in ESPN, 53% in sleeper.
He should be 0%.
Keon Coleman,
No,
goodbye, and Matt Golden, goodbye. Yeah. So
adios,
so
amigo.
the only guys that you were iffy about was you said no to DJ Moore and you were iffy on Romeo Doubs. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, DJ Moore and Dobbs can be still owned.
Can you believe these percentages, by the way, on a lot of these guys? Like it's crazy.
It's insane, but I
Darnell
will say
Mooney is
this.
crazy.
I will say it is sometimes the name is involved and the
Yep.
previous year's production is what people are just like, I gotta hold on to this guy. But you know what? Those guys at one point were waiver wire pickups because of situations and being productive. You got to look at some of these other guys that are basically they're being more productive than some of these guys that we are saying don't buy a name anymore. Go get some of these guys like Michael Wilson that we'll talk about next. And the law firm is still, obviously somebody that should be rostered in 100%, Jacoby Myers. But there are some deeper options that I'd feel more comfortable with plugging in over any of those guys that we
Well,
just discussed.
let's go to pickups. So probably on guys, Michael Wilson. There's really not much to say. I mean, he's just been unbelievably good with Jacoby Myers. That having been said, if Harrison's back,
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, if Harrison is back, which he should be this week, and they're at Houston, his upside's capped a little bit, but I do like him rest of season, Harrison back or not. So Michael Wilson needs to be rostered. Christian Watson, Tommy sung his praises already. He's been dominating. He's the number one guy on that team. It is
Yep.
what it is. Hopefully he could keep the consistency up and stay
And it,
healthy.
it was it was good to see Brian Thomas basically getting some touches and being productive, but obviously Jacoby Myers was the better route runner and the better
I
end
was talking
zone.
about Christian Watson, but
Oh, sorry.
yeah. Hey,
My bad.
now let's talk about Jacoby Myers. Three great games in a row. Keep it going. And you had something to say about Brian Thomas?
Yeah, he was a little productive. Congratulations on coming back.
Yes. One thing I did want to mention about Christian Watson though, they are at Denver, so keep an eye. Maybe, the line is going to be suppressed a little bit considering the
But
defense, but
Denver's defense is great pass rush. Their pass defense, when it comes down to coverage, I mean, yes, they have great defensive players on paper. So do the Eagles. But it's been a little rough.
last name and probably owned here is Chris Godwin. And, he had 13 targets the last two games. He's been looking great. That's fine. But I mean, I don't, the Tampa Bay offense is not looking as good as it once did earlier in the season. That having been said, that can maybe be solved by their schedule coming up here. So I still have faith that Baker will turn it around.
100%. Yeah, and Godwin is a guy that you need to roster right now. He's a very, very high valued opportunity.
So I didn't have the name on here because of the current percentages, but how do you feel about Mike Evans? Is he going to come back? Is he worth it to
He's
still
projected
keep
to come back this week.
this week?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I wouldn't throw him in this week as a play, but I want to see what he does. But there is a really good opportunity that he could be a league winner. Because we know what he does with Baker, and honestly, they're fighting for a division right now between them and the Panthers. I did call it early season. The Panthers would be very competitive, and they potentially could win the division. I did call that.
Well,
Um,
here's something else that we called. We were calling for trading Ibuka at his height back
yeah.
then. Now,
hmm
having no you know, foresight to be like he's going to get injured, which he did for a few games, but you've seen his performance now since he's been back from his injury. It has not been good.
No, and his route running is not great. The chemistry is not the same it was,
His
and
ball,
I think
his catching of footballs has not been great either.
that too.
Um,
It's been a Donnie Mitchell-esque.
how do you think the Mike Evans return affects both Godwin and Ibuka?
Um, like I said, if Evans comes back this week, which it's leaning potentially that he does, I think that it's gonna be there's nobody that's gonna be really hyper targeted. I think the only opportunity to be hyper targeted is Chris Godwin because he is looking good. He's being more utilized. And unfortunately for you Ibuka owners, he is the third target when Evans comes back. Now, he could break one loose for a big play, but Tez Johnson is done if that when Evans comes back. So I think the totem pole is going to be Godwin, Evans, Ibuka, and then obviously you have your running back game in Irving.
Um, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with you. I think it might just muddy the waters. And I will say maybe just me being conservative. I don't know if Evans comes back. For
Evans
the
is coming back.
okay. All right. Maybe he won't come back this week, but pay attention to the news on that this
I
week.
think he comes back this week, and he's not. And you don't want to make
Well,
the
you wouldn't
mistake
play
by
him,
throw.
right?
Yeah, you don't want to make the mistake in playing him. I have him in a league in the first round. I have great running backs. I have four great running backs, and I have two spots for wide receivers to play. And I'm just not sure if I feel comfortable taking the shot there.
Yep. Let's talk about much more widely available guys. Let's get the New York Jets wide receivers conversation out the way. So Adonai Mitchell is 35% in ESPN, 51% in Sleeper. Mechie is 14% in ESPN, 38% in Sleeper. Both had bad games after having
Yeah.
some success the prior couple weeks, mostly because of the Tyrod Taylor thing. And so now with Tyrod Taylor, he's going to be out. I don't have any more knowledge as a Jets fan than anybody else. I don't know if it's going to be Fields or if it's going to be Brady, Cook, whatever.
I would not play any of those guys at all. Not
I
even add them.
I'll be honest. I agree with. I was about to recommend to everybody don't do it. Because people are going to be excited about it for because it's the starting receipt. Like don't. It's just not going to be good. Do you think that Garrett Wilson comes back at this season?
There's no reason.
Well,
They have so much money invested in that guy. There's no reason to rush him back or bring him back. There's no reason. We're going to week 15. There's 4 games. There's 4 weeks left
okay.
in the regular season. There's no reason. That's what I'm saying. Also, potentially, Brees Hall can get shut down.
I don't know. Well, we'll see. The Jets are just an absolute mess. Now, by the way, the fact that you said that and I said that, I'm gonna remove these guys from our like when we put the list for everybody. So we're not gonna
Yes.
recommend these guys. Well,
Eliminate them.
well, I mentioned this, Tommy, to be like, this is not a good week for wide receiver ads. We're not going to chase points for the sake of chasing points. We're not going to
No.
chase stuff. So let's talk about the other guys I have on here, and if you have any other names you want to throw in, we'll adjust. So the name that I wanted to talk about was Ryan Flournoy from Dallas. So he's
Yeah.
1%. He's available everywhere. I won't even read the 1 and 0% or whatever. Now, this is not me just chasing points. Obviously, had an amazing game, but I care about the fact of them putting up 1 million points every game, which is going to give him value and his target share, and the fact that Dak likes him, and the fact that CD has the concussion situation. If CD's out, I think it's a no-brainer. You get him. He's very similar to the Tesla situation from last week.
Well. So playing Detroit, it was a weaker defense. Weaker pass defense. Pass, what you call it, coverage defense in Detroit because of all the injuries they have there. But they obviously got to the quarterback. They put a lot of pressure. Um, Dak tends to lean to a player that is being consistent and that is obviously open, right? Um, with the coverage that was on CD was performing, but Flannery basically was getting targets before CD's injury.
That's true.
Um,
He was always open for a way.
yeah,
Yeah,
and well, how can you not be always open when you have George Pickens, CD Lamb, and also Ferguson out there? If you're running a four wide receiver set, that guy's going to be open. So I feel good. I mean, I feel good about him. There are great options out there. when it comes down to some of these ads, but I think Ryan Flannery is going to be an opportunity against going against Minnesota, tough defense, great coverage. He could continue his performance this upcoming week. Um, the Chargers, really good secondary. He could continue his performance going into that in that game. That's week one and week two of your playoff.
You did
Um,
this is irrespective of if CeeDee Lamb is out or not. You're saying this.
doesn't matter. He's not going to get 13 targets. He may see anywhere from 7 to 8 targets, but he's going to be the guy that's going to be open and have an opportunity.
Okay.
Now, it's not a poo poo on not starting CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, you have to start CeeDee Lamb. You have to start Pickens. You have to start Ferguson. But this is a guy that they're going to be throwing the ball a significant amount of times. Now they're playing for something that they could see that the Eagles are losing. They're gonna go out there and it's put up or shut up. They're gonna have to put up a lot of points, and I want to be a part of that.
No, I agree, and they're going to continue to put up a lot of points. That's sort of the biggest selling point there. So, um, the next name we have on here is Luther Burden, and this is mostly because of the Roma Dunze situation. My annoyance with him is he seems to not be able to get in front of Olamide Zaccheaus in terms of snaps and usage. But you got to remember he's such a highly touted rookie, highly drafted, etc. So I mean the upside is there, and if Roman Dunze continues to be at the upside's there, but maybe to Tommy's point from earlier, maybe just the beneficiaries of that are DJ Moore and Colston Loveland. Maybe it's not going to be Luther Burden. So
Well, Luther Burden for the past 4 weeks has gotten 5, 5, 6, 6 targets.
right.
And he's catching. He drops. It's consistent. He drops 2 balls each week, so he's either getting you 80% or he's getting you 50%, depending on the volume. Um, so it's just it's an interesting play because he is more of a possessional guy. It's looking like based on the consistency ratio between targets, catches, and yards. But he is not getting the touchdowns. If he was to get a touchdown in each and every single one of those weeks, it would put him in low end or wide receiver two numbers, which would bolster his opportunity and he'd be on every single roster. Um, so he is not the touchdown guy that basically you need him to be. So I'm just not sure. Again, it's an upside call. Do you want to, because he is getting consistency when it comes down to targets, but do you want to take a risk on him or would you spend your fab or spend your waiver pick on a Flannery? I'd
I'd rather Flannery with Flournoy.
100%.
Uh,
Flannery.
yeah. Um, that's the end of my list here. Do you have any other names for wide receiver ads? I thought it was a bad week.
Yeah, it is a bad week. Honestly, I
I don't
just
want to
don't
chase
know.
points for the sake of chasing
I
points.
just
Like
don't know. I mean,
we don't have Chimera DK in here. We don't
the
have,
only other one that I potentially say, which is I'd say is a higher grade than Luther Burden, is Jaden Higgins. Because his matchups is Arizona, Las Vegas, the Chargers. But, Arizona and Las Vegas are the only areas where I'd say I'd feel comfortable, potentially plugging him in if needed based on the volume he's receiving. So again, he's only seen one touchdown in the past 4 weeks, but he is getting the targets and he is catching the balls that's targeted to him. His worst game that he had was against Kansas City, which was last week. But again, um, you can't shy away from targets because more than likely the more targets you receive, the more opportunity it's going to be with yardage and potential touchdowns. And he is targeted in the end zone.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned him. I was, a little worried that it's just he's might be a little too far down the totem pole there on a team that doesn't throw it as well as other teams. You know what I mean? Like you got Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, and throw in he's splitting time with Christian Kirk and stuff. So I don't know. It's fine. I mean, I'd rather have Higgins than most of all the guys that we mentioned in the ad drop list in the drop candidates. So it's a difficult. It's not the best week for wide receivers, and I thought about it, and I
Well,
think part of it
let
is
me say
that the
this.
teams have already rostering a lot of the best guys.
Let me say this for upside. If you were to be forced to play a player based on injuries, would you play on Andre Ishavas or Jaden Higgins this week with Higgins potentially being out?
If Higgins is out, no, Yosivas.
Okay.
Right. But Higgins, I think it's pretty well established Higgins is going to play this week. So, but if he's out, no, then Yosifas is a good 1 week rental. Um, any other names there? It's a bad wide receiver week.
Yeah, that's bad.
Let's go to tight ends. The IR guys, let's get them out the way. Tucker Kraft, Sam Laporta, and we should have mentioned however many weeks ago, Tyler Higbee for anybody who might have been rostering him. And we have a new name to add to this. Zach Ertz. Horrible, horrible, horrible injury. And it's
And
probably might be the end of his
yeah,
career.
yeah, I
Uh,
think it's over. This was pretty much leaning into the last year. Last year was leaning into the last year.
yeah.
Um, but an aging tight end, he had a fantastic career.
Yep.
And hopefully a speedy recovery. He's been a fantastic asset to fantasy football and a great NFL player.
Yep. It's sad. But let him go. Let him go. It is what it is. Other drop candidates here. We got two names for you. David Njoku. So it's clear. It's Fannin. It's not Njoku anymore. And also his injury situation notwithstanding, on top of the fact of like the offense in general is not good enough to sustain multiple pass catchers in terms of good production. And maybe throw in Judge Judy as a like it's like Fannin and maybe Judge Judy. Like that's it. Like you could let Njoku go. He might not even be on the team next year. So let him go. The other drop candidate here, Tommy, is Oronde Gadsden. So it's sick because I think he's super talented, but it is what it is. Like he hasn't had a good game since week 9. Excuse me. Super talented. It's just difficult to trust him now, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a 100% drop candidate. He is a streamer at this point. He's not an automatic
That's
start.
fair. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And bad matchup this week, but good matchup at Dallas the following week.
But it
So
is a bad matchup against Kansas City, but I do think that this is a decent matchup for him as being a tight end. So he could see, a little bit more target share this week than he would normally see in a game like last night.
okay. Let's talk about the pickup options. A couple guys that are probably on top on that list is Harold Fannin, and I'd like to apologize for suggesting that maybe it was a fluky kind of thing the last week or whatever. Um, so whether or not this will be a conversation for the offseason, whether or not we think Shador is good or not. But regardless of that, Shador is looking for him. He is the number one target for him, and so in and of itself, that makes a guy valuable. Touchdowns notwithstanding, he's had 22 targets the last 3 weeks at the tight end position. On
Yeah,
top of the Njoku situation, Harold Fannin could be a league winner. You think?
100%. He should be rostered. He is an automatic start,
Yep.
especially with a young quarterback in there. They're going to lean to the tight end. It's just history. And obviously, Shador is going to take his shots. Now, does that mean that I believe that he's a good quarterback? No, he's on a bad roster. He's on a bad team. So I just think that he's just going to make do of what he got, and we'll analyze him after the season's over.
The other probably own doesn't require too much lip service. You guys know Dalton Kincaid. He's back. He's back, and he's the number one target. And even split, as he was kind of getting more integrated, he was kind of splitting with Dawson Knox. He had a good game. So it is what it is. Now again, it was Cincinnati, and every tight end, including backups, has a good game against Cincinnati. But again, it's nice to see him back integrated, and they're going to need him. The Buffalo Bills have a must win this week at New England, so they're going to need him. Dalton Kincaid, let's go. So a little more widely available guys. Let's not forget about Theo Johnson. He's coming off the bye. He's ready to roll against an awful Washington defense with his favorite quarterback playing, Jackson Dart. Let's roll with Theo Johnson, right? Gonna be a good week.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Um, and Colston Loveland, 40% in ESPN, 53% in Sleeper, might not be available. He did have a nice game. And even though Komet is still involved, the upside is there, and they gave him a lot of targets. And with Roma Dunze out, I'm feeling a lot better about Colston Loveland rest of season. They want to use him, remember, first round pick, etc. So I like Colston Loveland. I know you're hit or miss on him, but you feeling better about him rest of the season?
Yeah, I do feel better. And he is being targeted. So the tight end usage is definitely on the rise in Chicago. So it's not been great for Chicago passing game, but I feel pretty decent about him. He's between a starter week in, week out and a streamer week in, week out for me right now.
Let's talk about if any of those guys are not available, and there's a good chance that none of them might be available or whatever. Let's talk about very widely available guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 1 week rental for you here. Isaiah Likely, 8% in ESPN, 13% in Sleeper. He had a nice game this past week, and now he's against Cincinnati. I don't care that you could start multiple tight ends against Cincinnati. They're going to let up a lot of points. I'm feeling really good about Isaiah Likely for 1 week, right?
Yeah, but he did another thing. He dropped the ball in the end zone.
He did, but I don't think that'll happen this game. Billy will catch that.
I just think that he's seeing ghosts again.
Okay. Other name here, and I wanted to highlight this one, Colby Parkinson, available everywhere. The last 5 weeks, he's had 4 good games. He's had a bunch of targets and a couple touchdowns in there. He's good, and he's going to continue to be a great option. And now they've got competitive games coming up here. They're going to need him.
You
I don't
know,
know why you don't like him more.
I have to agree with you, but it makes me sick.
Why? He is a good player.
Yeah, it's just there's so many options there. I just feel like yes, it's a great he is probably a top five tight end for rest of season, rest of fantasy football season. So yes, if you I'd say it's
I don't know if
Harold
I
Fat
would go that far. Top 10,
no,
maybe.
no, no, no. I go that far.
Okay.
I go Harold Fannin, Colby Parkinson. That's 1, 2.
Okay. Okay. In terms of ads, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, last name on this list. So with the Ertz situation, now it should be Ben Sinnott taking over the complete situation. He's available everywhere. People might not forget how highly touted he was when he was drafted. The fantasy community online was obsessed with him. So I don't know if I'm just going to pick him up here, but I'm going to keep my eye on him. Maybe in the deepest of deepest leagues. Go ahead, take your shot. And it's time for him to shine with Ertz finally out. So I'm not going to pick him up in most leagues, but just thought I'd mention it to assuage the fantasy community online. So there we go. Yeah, I agree with Tommy. If I can't get my hands on some of the probably guys, then maybe Colby Parkinson would be my favorite pickup here.
Yep.
You ready to move on to streamers?
Let's go.
Welcome to the A Stream for all you lovely listeners streaming quarterback and or defense, where we will do our very best to hook you guys up with widely available quarterbacks and defenses to help you win your week and perhaps win you your league. We're going to talk about a little bit of gamesmanship happening for the next couple weeks as well. But let's start at the quarterback position. Um, the top three names on here, they may or may not be available in your league. We just wanted to get them out the way real quick because they are the top names by far. I think you would agree. That's Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, and Sam Darnold. Trevor Lawrence has had one bad game since week 5. That's how good he's been. Maybe some of the upside has been capped, but he's been very, very solid for your teams. He's 40% in ESPN, 53% in Sleeper, and now he's playing the Jets. I would love to play Trevor Lawrence here. CJ Stroud, 51% in ESPN, 39% in Sleeper. He's playing Arizona after coming off of beating the Chiefs. Let's go. CJ Stroud could be great. And by the way, CJ Stroud might end up winning you your league. Home against Arizona,
Yep.
home against Vegas, and then at the Chargers. Let's go, CJ Stroud. Sam Darnold, I told you I hated having him here, but if the percentages are what they are, then we have to talk about him. 43% in ESPN, 59% in Sleeper. Guess what? They're home against Indianapolis this week. He could crush it. They got a bad matchup the following week, but then they're at Carolina for week 17. So Sam Darnold's really, really good pickup. So if none of those guys are available in your league, and it's very possible that they aren't, let's talk about the guys that are much more available. So Tommy, of the other names on here, um, who are you most interested in as a streamer?
So I do like the progress that Tyler Shough has been
I
showing.
do too.
Yeah. I don't think he's running for two touchdowns per week, but I do like his fantasy value with his rushing attempts. So I think Tyler Shough has a nice matchup.
Home
Obviously,
against
we discussed
Carolina. Yeah.
Carolina, and again, Carolina
Good or bad?
it could be good or bad. I think Carolina is obviously playing for something. So I think defensively they're gonna put up. But same thing with Tampa Bay last week. They kind of broke a little bit. So we'll see if the team that gets ready for this game kind of thing in Carolina. But I do think Tyler Shough could have a really nice rest of season play.
I think so. He could be solid enough. And again, we talked about it, the Saints have such a good schedule rest of the season across all positions.
Yeah.
Um, I think Rodgers is fine. He is home against Miami here, so I think he's good for 1 week. That should be
Mhm.
perfectly fine for your team. Special mention to JJ McCarthy. I mean, I don't know if I completely buy his performance against Washington. But I know that he's playing Dallas this week, and Dallas, it doesn't matter who's the quarterback or wide receivers, they let them all up. So JJ McCarthy is perfectly fine. I don't know if he's going to finish top five, but he'll be serviceable for your team. And any love for Bryce Young here?
So I do like Bryce Young's rest of season as well too. So it's just I feel like you have a plethora of potential streaming quarterbacks the next couple weeks. It's a better matchup situation. And again, like I said, these guys are playing for something, even if they're eliminated out of the playoffs and stuff like that. In a Tyler Show, he's playing for something. He's playing for a starting role. Bryce Young is playing for a playoff spot. So I think Bryce Young has a nice move. And then obviously they have a divisional play, back to back weeks. But then they have a really bad matchup week 17 against Seattle. Next 2 weeks, I think Bryce Young has pretty good matchups, and they're obviously playing their counterpart in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 16.
Can I give you a barometer? Okay. So people, for example, have been using Jacoby Brissett up until this time. He's been a quarterback one every single week he started.
Hmm.
He is now at Houston. So how
Right.
many who'd you play over Jacoby? I would play almost all these guys over Jacoby Brissett this week.
I would play Trevor Lawrence. I would
CJ Stroud
play
and Sam Darnold. Yeah.
Tyler Show. I would play Sam Darnold. I'd play Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, everybody.
Everybody over Jacoby Brissett this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. What about Bo Nix? Where would you slot him
Um,
as like comparing who would you start over him?
Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud,
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, Tyler Show, and Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Yeah. I like we said,
I think this is the week that Bo Nix loses a game.
I they're playing Green Bay, so yeah, it's very
This
very
is a
possible.
really, really tough matchup, I think. And honestly, and I'm gonna put it out there. I think obviously, everything going well with Denver. It's their defense is what's been holding him to the game. To be honest, completely honest with you. Uh I see Denver having a 3-game skid. And the not the old San Diego Chargers, but the new LA Chargers will take the lead.
I will say just a quick mention of JJ McCarthy. If you believe in JJ McCarthy and you're not worried about him regressing to his former self, so he's got Dallas this week, which is good, and then next week he's at the Giants. So you could have 2 good weeks here. But I actually agree with Tommy.
He's gonna fail.
I like Tyler Show's 2 weeks, man. Carolina and the Jets, and they're both home. So
Yep.
judge your options as they are. But obviously we'd prefer the Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold stuff much more. But let's talk defenses, and this is where we get to gamesmanship here. So we got a couple names that are going to have some good matchups that are widely available, and then I want to talk about guys that have some good matchups for the final 2 weeks of the playoffs. So the Jacksonville Jaguars here, 41% ESPN, 43% in sleeper. Hopefully you could get them. They're great this week, home against the Jets. They might be good all 3 weeks. They're home against the Jets and then at Denver and that at Indianapolis, whoever's their quarterback. So good options for the playoffs here. The Chiefs, they're 24% in ESPN, 43% in sleeper. Might be able to get them. Home against the Chargers, but next week at Tennessee and the home and following week, home against Denver. Might be all 3 weeks. So I like the Chiefs as an option. The Bears home against Cleveland this week. Let's go. It's a 1 week rental, but this is one of the best plays for this week. The 49ers, you got 2 good weeks coming for them. Uh, Home against Tennessee and then at Indianapolis. And the Panthers, uh, 1 week rental at New Orleans. Now, if you believe New Orleans is going to go in and put up lots of points, don't play them. But as just as the way that the line is looking, you could roll with the Panthers. Um, and now, Tommy, maybe these are some deep league winning defenses here. The Saints and the Giants.
Uh,
But just look at the matchups. The Saints this week, home against Carolina. Next week, home against the Jets. Uh, Week 17, Championship Sunday at Tennessee. The Saints could be league winning for your league.
yeah, it's not pretty, but
It
it's
gets the job
definitely
done.
it gets the job done.
And if you don't believe that about Carolina, definitely the final two, the Jets and Tennessee. How about the
Mhm.
Giants, Tommy? The Giants this week, maybe not so good. Home against Washington, whatever. Final 2 weeks, home against Minnesota, at Las Vegas. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, but just because I have had a little tiff with the Giants defense this year in a league of record, I will not start the 32nd rank uh, Giants defense at all. Don't do it.
I don't know if they're 32nd
They
ranked.
are the 32nd ranked defense. Don't do it.
I would play them at Las Vegas.
Okay, and you'll lose week 17 because of the Giants defense.
All right. So there we go. So that's our show today. And all of our drop candidates and waiver options will be posted in the description of this episode's video on YouTube. So just a reminder on that. We got the preview show coming up. We got Sunday Live. It is week 15, guys. It's first week of the fantasy football playoffs. We're so excited to be with you. We're so excited right now. Closing thoughts, Mr. Lang?
Yeah, if you can please share, like, and subscribe, we truly appreciate it. All our platform viewers and all different platforms. We're on TikTok, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on obviously YouTube. Yeah, and every
We're on
other
your
way.
we're on your grandma's radio. We're everywhere, baby.
We're on the AM FM radio. So check us out there.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks.